Assalamu alaikum everyone. So welcome to our second video of the Ramadan special spoken challenge. So in this video I will talk about how to think in English. So whenever we are just talking about thinking in English, two terms are coming into our mind. One is translation and another is thinking in English. So now I will just tell you the advantages and the disadvantages of these two terms. So translation, what I just mean by this, translation means like where at the beginning stage most of the people are just used to translate the words or translate the sentence from their native language to the English language. So whenever like he or she do it, at that time it takes much time. If I am just giving you an example, so maybe you will just more able to understand it. So suppose you are just talking with a person, okay, and suppose the person will ask you a question, okay, so then you will just reply it, but when you are just replying it, you are just taking time to reply it. Why? Because you are just translating this into your brain. Okay, then you are just like thinking the answer first in your native language, then you are just translating it in your brain, then you are just speak it in English. But the thing is that it takes much time. The other person will just understand that you are not comfortable with English, but the thing is not fair that we want to give a best impression in our first conversation. We know the first conversation or the first impression is the last impression. So you have to give the best impression in your first conversation. So that's why try to avoid translation. Why? The thing is that it's a slow procedure. Okay, and the another thing that as it is slow, so the other person will understand that you are not comfortable with English and we don't want it. So avoid the translation. So what you will do, like if you are just giving up the translation, then what you will do? The thing you have to do is think in English. And in this video I will just talk about that how you can start thinking in English before you are just speaking something. Okay, so first of all I will just tell you the advantages of think in English. Whenever you are just thinking in English before speaking something, at the time you don't need much time. It is a fast procedure. Okay, there is not much time needed. Just you are just thinking something and then you are just speaking it to the another person. So that's why it is fast. Okay, and the thing is that this process is silent. Okay, yes, translation is also silent, but the thing is it takes time, but it is silent, but it don't takes much time. The thing is that whenever you are just thinking in English, at the time suppose you are just going to tell something, okay, and then as it is silent, so no one can listen you, like only you can just listen you, like what you are just saying, it will just inside into you. No one will just no one can judge you, as this process is just going inside you, so no one can hear you, right? So that's why it's an advantage. Okay, so think in English, basically it is an exercise, like you have to exercise it. And think in English, like as I have said, it's an exercise. So if I'm just giving you an example, suppose you are just wanted to build your body, like your hand by this way. So whether it can be possible to do overnight? Of course not. So it takes time. So of course think in English also takes time. You have to be used to think in English. You have to make it a habit to think everything in English. Okay, so these are some advantages or the things that I have talked about or in like think in English. Okay, so now I am going to talk about the steps, like how to start thinking in English. So I'll just talk about the steps. Okay, so number one, start thinking about some simple words which are around you or the objects. Suppose, like I'm just here writing, start thinking with simple objects or words. So what does it mean? Like, start thinking with simple object or word. Suppose this is a pen. Like, try to think which are just around you. Suppose this is a marker, or you can say a pen in my hand. So I have learned a new word. It's a pen or it's a marker. There's a board. Then there is light above my head. Okay, then now I am just recording a video. Okay, so these are some words like video, board, then light. These are some simple words or objects which are just around you. Just try to know this in English. Okay, try to think in English these things. Now the second step will be try to make simple sentences. Try to make simple sentences. Like, simple means very simple. Like, now I am recording a video. This is a simple sentence. And like, whether you can say like, now I am writing on the board. So this is also a simple sentence. Like, try to make simple sentences according to your situation or according to your environment, right? So try to do it. It's also helpful. So that was the second step. First of all, try to make simple words or objects, or then try to make simple sentences. First words, then sentences. Then the third process, you can just try that you can just create some imaginary conversations. You can just create imaginary conversation. Okay, so I'm now giving you an example. Suppose you are going to a restaurant, and then where you have to speak in English with a waiter. Suppose I'm just telling. Or you are just going to a hospital for your medical checkup to a doctor. So where you will just speak in English. So at that time, what you will speak, try to think it or make a plan, like what you will say there or what will you tell there before going there. Like, before going to the hospital, just think at your home. Like, after going to that place, what you will just say that in that place, and yes, it must be in English. So make a plan or create this kind of imaginary conversation. Like, suppose if now I am in a party, then what I will do, just make an imaginary conversation with this kind of topics. Okay, so that was the third step. Then number 4, if I'm just giving you, try to consume English. Now many of you can ask me, like, try to consume English, what kind of thing is it? Like, how can we consume English in ourselves? How can, right? The thing is that consuming English means try to listen English, try to read English, try to make English in your everything. Suppose you are just using your mobile phone, you are just using your laptop, just try to do all your functions in English. Suppose you are just going to research on a topic, try to research on that topic in English, so that you are just consuming English informations. Consuming English means just consume everything, every information in English. Got it? Now, number 5, what you can do, like whenever you are just thinking of English, suppose you are just now sitting in a place like in an idle, so you are just like thinking like what you can just say, like you can just narrate your whole day in English. You can just narrate your day. Okay, so that was a 5th tip, that you can just narrate your day, like what you have done today. Like you have just waking up from your bed, then what are the steps or what the things you have done. Just try to think in English. So that means the ultimate thing is that you are just trying to think in English. So now I am just going to give a recap of our today's class. So the first step of thinking in English is start thinking with simple objects or simple words like a marker, a board. Then the second step, try to make simple sentences. Simple sentences, like now I am recording a video. This is a simple sentence. Now number 3, create imaginary conversation. That means a conversation, like try to make a plan or try to make a conversation which you will do after some time. Got it? So now try to consume English. That was our 4th step. Like try to consume English through, like try to consume everything, every information in English. Then number 5 is narrate your day, like what you have done today. Okay, so now I would like to give you a bonus tip. Okay, so I would like to give you a bonus tip. So what was the bonus tip? The bonus tip is to maintain your regularity. As I have said that, yes, thinking in English, it's one kind of exercise. So it cannot be done within some days. It can take some months, it can even take some years. Okay, but the thing is that you have to do. And the things that I have mentioned here, all the things I have just applied in my personal life. So the things that I have taken here, that is actually completely related to my personal life, or what I have done, or like I followed these steps for myself in the process of learning English. Still I am learning. Okay, so the thing is that if you are not maintain a regularity, then it cannot be a habit. You have to think in English into a habit. If you can't do it, then it's quite impossible for you to become a fluent speaker. Many times you are just asking like how to be a fluent speaker. The thing is that what is the condition for being a fluent speaker? You have to speak fast, or you have to speak without like taking some times, like something like that. You don't need to take time. But whenever you are just going to translate it, then it needs time. So try to practice English. So try to think in English, and best of luck for learning English. But please do it. Try to think in English. So bye bye. See you in the next video.